Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, I wanted to talk about strategies for making currency during the last few weeks of a league. And this time in a league is defined by people having very different ideas as to what they want to get out of the league. And someone that's looking to make a bit of currency in this period can definitely take advantage of that. So on the one hand, you have a number of people who are looking to finish their challenges. And this video will be focusing on challenges and what you can do to get currency out of people that are just looking to complete their challenges. There's a second type of player, and those are players who are primarily standard players. So these are people who are trying to amass serious wealth to take to standard. And then there's players who are only interested in playing the league, but feel like they need more gear, need to invest more in their character in order to take on some of the challenges that they haven't yet gotten to. So essentially, three different categories of players: people looking to quit the league, people looking to take loot to standard, and people looking to improve their character in the league for the purposes of completing their league goals. Now, these players value currency very differently to each other. And if you're one of the players that just wants to finish the league as quickly as possible, finish the challenges and then take a break from the game until the next league starts, your goal is usually to burn currency in order to get challenges completed. So let's have a look at some of the challenges that I think you can make some sorts of deals with players to progress simultaneously on. I want to start with complete maps with 8 mods. If you are someone who is able to do 8 mod maps yourself and carry 4 or 5 people through with you, what you can do is charge people a few chaos per run to just carry them through an 8 mod map. So basically, you will roll up a whole bunch of 8 mod maps, maybe you'll roll 10 of them at a time, and just go bang through them. Bring 4 people with you, so you've got a spare portal in case you have a death, and you can charge 50C for that service for 10 maps. You'll be able to get all of the maps that drop as well, so you'll do pretty well in terms of getting loot from them. And the way that this sort of service would be coordinated is in the channel Trade 820. So this is not one of the more lucrative ones, but it's one that's worth keeping in mind because I think it's something that requires a lot less of you wealth-wise than some of the latest strategies will. And the next one is Unearth Expedition Areas. This is an RNG-focused challenge that requires doing a fair number of logbooks. This is something that would be on most players' pathway to 24 challenges. And if you get one of these while you're running a logbook for any reason, you can call out to other players and say, hey, do you want a portal to my chittering chamber? I'm selling it for 30C. And you will be able to sell these occasionally. Again, this is the sort of thing that's organized in-game in the channel Trade 820. And it's something that will get you a fair bit of currency there if you do it a lot. Next up is the conditional boss kills in this league. If you are capable of doing these and carrying other people through them, then you are probably already swimming in currency, and so you probably don't need this video. But if you are willing to learn one of these and willing to take on some risk in spending a whole bunch of currency buying these other logbooks that guarantee these bosses so that you can get some practice down, you can make an absolute mint out of this. Most of the players that I know that have got 10 or more mirrors worth of wealth in this league have got there from from selling services for these conditional boss kills. So next up is Complete Encounters 8. And specifically, we're talking the Pale Council section here and the Harvest the Heart of the Grove. There are a lot of people who will run the Ashabi fight and sell a portal to it for 2 exalts. That's how I got this. I paid someone 2 exalts for a portal to their Ashabi fight. And so I got myself the Harvest the Heart of the Grove achievement, and that just cost me 2 exalts. For the Pale Council, I farmed a set myself and was then like, oh yeah, who else wants to come along for 70C? All of these are things that you can make a bit of currency on, particularly the second and the fourth ones, by running a service for them. Next up is Complete Map Tiers. This is a challenge that has 2 or 3 optimal ways to do them. This involves a lot of trading, and so it may not be something that you want to do. But the single best way to do Complete Map Tiers fast is to run the Vaults of Atzri back to back. So what you will do is, if you want to run this, you will trade for a whole bunch of Vaults of Atzri. Then you will charge 5 people approximately 25 to 35% of the cost of a Vaults of Atzri, which is about 7 to the Exalt in bulk at the moment. So you'll charge them about 1 exalt per 20 or 25 runs to just join you in burning through all of these map tiers as quickly as possible. This is something that can be pretty lucrative, but is also quite a hassle to set up. You basically just go straight to the end in Vaults of Atzri, which is about a 10-second run on most characters. The other maps that you can do this on really efficiently, though, are Foundry and Mesa. Both of these have their bosses in a very predictable location, very straight path to the boss, very easy bosses. Well, Foundry is not so easy, but Scoured it is. And so that's something else that you can get a lot of credit for this very quickly on. If you can amass a lot of Mesa maps and or a lot of Foundry maps, you can also offer a similar service. And again, just try and get people to pay you something like something along the lines of 1 exalt per maybe 500 tiers at that point, and that will end up being a pretty good deal for all players involved. Next up is complete deadly encounters. If you're familiar with any of these bosses and pretty good with them, you will definitely find people who are willing to pay you for a portal into your maps in order to get their credit for this. Particularly High Templar Venerius in the Cortex is the hardest of these to access, and not necessarily the hardest to kill. That's probably Uber Elder or the Maven, but High Templar Venerius is something that players generally don't have much practice with. So if you've got a build that can blitz him down in a couple of seconds, then that will really help you there. Additionally, Cyrus is one that comes up a little bit because Cyrus is relevant to 2 challenges, although most players will not have much trouble just basically inviting someone on a split loot basis to kill their Cyrus for them. And now we have the Motherlode, Endgame Grinds. There is a lot of currency to be made out of Endgame Grinds. So firstly, for level 100, the best way to take advantage of people who are looking to make level 100 is something that you can only really do if you have a tremendous amount of currency behind you, and this is running 5-way Legion services. 5-way Legion services require you, among other things, to have generally speaking, it's not always exactly the same. You want some sort of merit tier bow, you'll want a headhunter, you want 3 or 4 inspired learnings, and you want a build that is dedicated to going fast. And broadly speaking, this doesn't help you get your second mirror, but once you've got 2 mirrors behind you, it will help you get to 25 if that's what you want to do. So that's basically a really repetitive thing of just blitzing the 5-way Legion encounter, buying sets in bulk from people, and there's a whole bunch of people that will sell services where for 3 exalts they'll give you 5 runs of their Domain of Timeless Conflict level 84, and this is just staggering XP. It's like 15. The 3 exalts for 5 runs is actually 15% of a level at level 99. So it is extraordinary, and as a result, people, it will get you from level 99 to level 100 in 20 exalts and about 3 hours, less than 3 hours, 2.5 hours. So that's absolutely ridiculous, and that's why people make so much currency out of doing those services. Next up, Simulacrum is something that I've seen quite a few people running services for. What they'll do is they will have an Aurabot and a powerful clear character. Those 2 characters will work together to defeat the Simulacrum, even with 4 other players in there, and they'll just invite 4 people along for the ride. Simulacrums currently, the last time I looked, they were selling for about 120 chaos, I think. And so what they'll do is they'll be the 2 core people, then they'll invite people in for 50 chaos or so, and just loot as it falls. The thing that's important, though, is that as the creator of the Simulacrum, if a Voices drops, it drops for you. If a Split Personality drops, it drops for you. So all of the good Delirium uniques that can drop from the Simulacrum, you will be the one that gets them, whereas all the other loot layers will go to random players. Next up, you have Rare Blighted maps. Rare Blighted maps are interesting in that these are hard to mass produce this league. The best way to mass produce these is to run maps in Lyra Arthane while using Rusted Blight Scarabs. Rusted Blight Scarabs are pretty cheap, like 3 or 4 chaos, and this is definitely a pretty lucrative way that you can make yourself some currency if you still have goals that require currency in the current league. You'll definitely make yourself quite a bit out of doing this. Those rare Blighted maps sell for 30C minimum if you have any sort of bulk of them, and that includes low tier ones. So this is something you can do even if you're only just into yellow maps. What you'll need to do is get the 4 points, minimum of 4 points in the Blighted maps drop section in Lyra Arthane. And once you've done that, just buy Blight Scarabs off people. Heist players, players that are focused in Heist will have a lot of Blight Scarabs to sell you. Defeat the Vaal Omnitect in an area of level 75 or higher. This one is really good. Again, this doesn't require a powerful character, doesn't require even running high-level maps. You do need to be in yellow maps because you need to be level 75 or higher, and you need, well, you don't necessarily strictly need them, but you will want to be, you will want to have a number of the passives that are in Glenac cans that are related to Incursion. So all you want to do is just simply use all of your Alva missions to create temples. Each time that you create a temple, there are a couple of special rooms you want to look for. Firstly, if you can get your hands on the Gem Corruption room, you want to sell that temple as a sealed item. Secondly, if you can get Alva's Corruption Chamber, the Locus of Corruption, that sells for an exalt and a half, so sell that as it is. But every time you're not able to get one of those 2 premium rooms, what you want to do is just simply save up your temple. Then when you've got 10 of these mediocre temples, either sell them as a bulk lot or run them, get outside the Vaal Omnitect room, and then at that point, go into Trade 820 and say, hey, I'm at the Omnitect, 10C to join. And you will find that you will quickly get 3 or 4 people that want to join because this is a tremendous, tremendous grind. Last, we have Logbook Expeditions at level 80 or higher. This requires a pretty powerful character because you're going to need to be able to beat level 80 logbooks yourself. But what you want to do here is just simply set up either a rotation, because logbooks are super lucrative anyway, so you just want to find 5 players that all want this, including yourself, and take turns, each of you running a few logbooks and just loot your own logbooks. That's your first option. Your second option is to prepare like 20 of them and then go into Trade 820 and say, running 20 logbooks back to back to back to back to back, 2.5 exalts to join. And you will again get takers for that. Of course, getting your hands on 20 level 80 or higher logbooks is not going to be trivial. These things are pretty expensive. The better ones are selling for something like 70, 71 chaos at the moment. That's for the ones that drop Tujen currency. The ones that drop Danig currency are even more. And the ones that don't have an option to give Tujen or Danig are still in the 40 plus C range. So you will find that that doing anything with this one will require a bit of capital. But if you've got that, you can definitely make yourself a whole bunch of extra loot by doing this. Anyway, that's a few tips on making currency if you still have goals that require it at endgame. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. May your Vaal Orbs have interesting results.